Good day, everyone. I welcome to the upcoming webinar on energy alterations as the underlying cause of primary hypertension. Before we starting the webinar, I would like to extend my warm greetings to our beloved speaker, one and only our Dr. Huang Wei Ling. And I would also welcome all our attendees and participants to take all the time to attend this wonderful webinar. Before we get into the subject, I'll just have a brief introduction about Dr. Huang Wei Ling. Dr. Huang Wei Ling, she's born in Taiwan, raised and graduated in medicine in Brazil, specialist in infectious and parasitic diseases, a general practitioner and parental and enteral medical nutrition therapist. Once in charge of the hospital infection control service of the city of Franca's General Hospital, she was responsible for the control of all prescribed antimicrobial medication and received an award for the best paper presented at the Brazilian Hospital Infection Control Congress in 1998. Since 1997, she works with the approach and treatment of all chronic diseases in a holistic way, with treatment guided through the teachings of traditional Chinese medicine and Hippocrates. Researcher in the University of Sao Paulo in the ophthalmology department from 2012 to 2013, and she is active doctor, and she heals many sort of diseases with special chakra treatment. And today's talk is going to be on primary hypertension, which is a very common symptom or very common thing which everyone will be undergoing. So we will have to definitely focus on how the energy alterations will be underlying and how those will be a cause for this primary hypertension. I again welcome Dr. Huang Wei Ling for this wonderful session. And ma'am, please go ahead.
Thank you, Kumar, for the introduction. Good morning to everyone. My name is Huang Wei Ling. I'm from medical doctor from Brazil. Yay. And the study I will present to you right now is entitled What Could Be the Underlying Cause of Primary Hypertension? Eu não tô vendo. And the study I will present today is about the energy-based understanding of hypertension. In Western medicine, primary hypertension cause is not well known. What I will expose today is completely different from what is usually done to comprehend primary hypertension. Nowadays, Western medicine associated the cause of disease with varied areas such as genetic factors. Current research in the field demonstrates that the current treatment is empirical and focuses exclusively in symptoms, and studies are being done to revolutionize the treatment of this pathology. What I will present today has the potential to revolutionize the treatment for primary hypertension without the use of the usual treatment. This study was based on idea I had during the treatment of one specific patient 13 years ago. The patient was a 70-year-old patient who reported pain in the legs and was diagnosed with kidney yang deficiency according to traditional Chinese medicine. And he received treatment with Chinese dietary counseling, acupuncture, and auricular acupuncture associated with apex ear bloodletting. With the treatment done, the pain in the legs diminished, and the patient was submitted to an interview after the treatment. In this interview, 30 days after the treatment, the patient revealed that his eye pressure had also lowered with the treatment, as his ophthalmologist confirmed. I was not aware, but the patient was treating glaucoma in the last 40 years with no improvement of his condition. And with the treatment I did, the pressure lowered from 40 mmHg to 17. This interesting case became the cornerstone of my first research, trying to comprehend how the treatment based on the root of the problem could treat different disease and symptoms simultaneously and using the same method. Now, I will talk about hypertension in Western medicine and how traditional Chinese medicine understands hypertension and expose two case reports. More than 360,000 American deaths in 2013 included high blood pressure as a primary or contributing cause. That is almost 1,000 deaths each day. High blood pressure increases the risks for dangerous health conditions such as heart attacks, strokes, chronic heart failure, and kidney disease. Unfortunately, about 1 of 5 US adults with high blood pressure still do not know that they have it. Normal blood pressure is 120 over 80 for milligrams of mercury, but hypertension is higher than 140 over 90 millimeters of mercury. Western medicine believes hypertension can be treated through lifestyle changes such as constant exercise and stress reduction. And the usual medication used for control of hypertension are shown in these slides. Other medications are also commonly used, as you can see in this chart. Some patients cannot control their pressure even with the combination of different types of medication. Those patients are considered patients with resistant hypertension. For us to understand why primary hypertension is not yet completely understood, we have to comprehend that the diagnosis in Western medicine is delayed. Western medicine only performs diagnosis through laboratorial or radiological exams. Before a disease appears in the laboratory exams, there is already an alteration in the energy level, which may appear as symptoms but not be recognized by exams as shown in this slide. The treatment in Western medicine is only done in phases 4 and 5 of the table you can see here. The measures that need to be taken in order to understand the primary hypertension have to be done in the first 3 phases, when the disease is in the energy level in order to understand the occurrence of primary hypertension. To be able to explain what the energy is and how it is presented in the body, I will use the metaphor of the tree that I presented last week in the myocardial infarction presentation. Primary hypertension is a reflection of the energy imbalances on the root level of the tree, usually not visible to the naked eye. Therefore, when treating the energy imbalances directly as done in the patient with leg pain in the beginning of this presentation, it is possible to improve all other symptoms in disease at the same time as the root of the problem is being treated. In this case, treating the underlying cause of primary hypertension too. This tree symbolizes the schematic drawing of views of Western medicine and traditional Chinese medicine. In Western medicine, the treatment of disease is made in the leaf level, while in traditional Chinese medicine, the treatment of disease is made in the root level and considered the external pathogenic factors as wind, cold, heat, humidity, and dryness that could be imbalance the whole tree, and this tree symbolizes the human body. According to Hippocrates, It is extremely important to consider other scientific gains and traditions within medicine prior to the knowledge we have nowadays. Based on this proposition, I searched ancient medical traditions to comprehend primary hypertension. One of the ancient medical traditions used as the traditional Chinese medicine or TCM. It is one of the oldest medical practices in the world. From TCM viewpoint, hypertension is an abnormal body sign indicated an underregulated state of body due to multiple influences inside the body. Hypertension causes damage in the heart, liver, and kidney. In traditional Chinese medicine, the cause of all symptoms and disease is linked to the yin-yang energy disharmony. Balance yin and yang will be equal to health, and imbalance of these two energy will lead to symptoms and disease in the future. This is a schematic drawing of the imbalance, the possible balance and imbalance of yin-yang energies. This is a balanced state where the yin-yang have to be in the same height. And here is a demonstration of yang deficiency when yang is smaller than yin energy. Here is an example of yang excess when yang is excess to the yin energy. Here is a sign example of yin deficiency when yin is smaller than yang energy. This situation is very common in women in menopause symptoms, where she have excessive yang in relation to yin deficiency, and it causes, for example, the symptoms of hot flashes. And here yin is excess of yang, and this is example is when the patient has colder feet and hand, many, and it's very common. The theory of yin and yang is complemented by the theory of the five elements. The five elements are represented in the body by the five massive organs that are heart, spleen, lungs, kidney, and liver. These organs also have a specific yin and yang energy inside of them and also have to be balanced. To the existence of yin and yang to be balanced and healthy, there are two other energies helping the general energy flow, that is qi energy and blood energy. When these energies are imbalanced, here is a chart demonstrating that there is an imbalance between yin, yang, qi, and blood energy to be healthy. When there is an imbalance of yin or yang or qi or blood or a combination of these energies, the body will creating another energy imbalances, that is heat retention or heat formation. This heat formation is responsible for many diseases such as infectious process, diabetes, cancer, and in this case contributes to the appearance of hypertension too. According to traditional Chinese medicine, hypertension can be categorized into four syndromes, including liver fire ascending, yin deficiency, yang hyperactivity, yin and yang deficiency. Etiologically, TCM believes that liver fire syndrome is primarily caused by the deficiency of kidney yin, which subsequently loses control over liver yang. Today I brought two case reports of patients treated by me that did not came to my clinic to treat primary hypertension specifically, but perceived diminution in their systemic arterial pressure after the treatment performed. The first case report was a patient that started treatment due to his high intraocular pressure, not controlled with eye drops and topical medications. A year before, he found out he had lost 77% of the vision of his right eye due to high intraocular pressure. The patient received auricular acupuncture, apex ear bloodletting, and Chinese dietary counseling. Despite doing treatment with eye drops and topical medications for a long time, the pressure would not low and was around 23. And the patient also had high systemic pressure, using medication to control it. During the treatment, I noticed that the patient had an umbilical hernia, what is known by traditional Chinese medicine. This is linked to the extreme lack of energy of the patient. And the patient believed his umbilical hernia was normal since he had it since he was born. I recommended then the measure of the chakras energy to analyze the energy of the patient's seven chakras. And the measurement resulted in all chakras with weakened in energy, with the exception of the seventh chakra that was appearing to normal, but the six other chakras was very deficient in energy. He started treatment with crystal-based medications and homeopathic medications according to the theory created by me, the constitutional homeopathy of five elements, based on traditional Chinese medicine, that this month the publication of this article will be online at the internet this month, and you can search and read how I came to this theory to treat all the kinds of disease using the replenishing of this chakra. And the patient used crystal-based medication and the homeopathic medication to replenish the energy of the chakras, and this treatment resulted in the diminution of the systemic arterial pressure too, so significant that the patient was able to stop intake the medication that he was using for many years, and he stopped by himself. And the intraocular pressure went to 23 to 14. And before the use of crystal-based and homeopathic medication, the patient was using eye drops for glaucoma without any diminution of his intraocular pressure. And the patient also had high cholesterol that would only decrease with the use of medication. And 2 years ago, the patient decided to stop the use of cholesterol medication by himself. When he started the treatment with me, his cholesterol was 305 milligrams per dl, and now it's 254 milligrams per dl. And the triglycerides went to 238 to 166 without using any kind of medication to treat these cholesterol and high triglycerides. What caused the diminution of the cholesterol and triglycerides without using any kind of high concentrate medication is that with the reposition of the energy, the chi of the body is in charge to cleaning the vessels and expelling the dirty that is cholesterol and triglycerides. And the second case report is around 13 years ago. The patient and his wife were diagnosed with HIV, and the patient passes through lots of emotional distress with the diagnosis of the disease. His viral load did not request the use of antiretroviral medication in the beginning, and his arterial pressure that was low through his entire life, he started to present alterations, achieving 180 per 140. He started the use of medication to control the arterial pressure. After 2 years, the viral load increased, and he started antiretroviral therapy to control the virus count in the organism. Around 6 years later, the triglycerides and cholesterol also started to present alterations, and the subject started treatment with atorvastatin and ciprofibrat. According to the infectious disease specialist accompanying his case, these alterations was a consequence of the antiretroviral medication use. He and his wife started to perform treatment after they found out the disease 13 years ago. They maintained the treatment with auricular acupuncture associated with apex bloodletting once a week to maintain the balance of the energy. And despite receiving orientations regarding diet based on Chinese dietary counseling, and the patient did not follow the instructions well as he cooks food different from the orientations received. He usually used lots of cheese, white flour, dairy products, and likes to drink beer on weekends. A year ago, the patient complained that his arterial pressure was not lowering even with the use of a medication. As I had previous experience with patients that had high systemic pressure due to weakened chakras energy, I requested the chakras energy measurement. And now his chakra appeared depleted in energy, and considered that the normal level is 8, all of his chakra were in 1. And he started treatment with crystal-based medications, magnesium chloride, and homeopathy, according to constitutional homeopathy of 5 elements based on traditional Chinese medicine, to replenish the energy of the chakras. And his arterial pressure started to normalize. The patient was accompanying his pressure, measuring it every day in order to be able to diminish his hypertension medication use in the future. His pressure now is around 120 to 80 mm per Ag with lower triglycerides and cholesterol. He still has some days where his arterial pressure appears higher, probably due to high consumption of beer. And the table on this slide describes his pressure in the last months. The treatment, to understand how the treatment was effective for these two patients, it's important to comprehend that the logic used during the treatment was completely opposite to what is usually done. The treatment performed was focuses in the energy imbalances in the first place. When treating the patient in the energy level, we seek for the root of the problem first, thus leading to an improvement of all the patient's symptoms and disease in all specialties at the same time. The use of traditional Chinese medicine in the treatment of hypertension is constantly debated in the study. In the article Emerging Application of Metabolomics in Traditional Chinese Medicine, Treating Hypertension, Biomarkers, Pathways, and More, Min Xiaoyang analyzed how traditional Chinese medicine can be effective in the treatment of this pathology. And according to traditional Chinese medicine, primary hypertension is caused by the deficiency of liver, yin and yang, and kidney. However, in traditional Chinese medicine, there is no way to measure the energy level of these organs, and using Ayurvedic medicine theory of the chakras, it was possible to create a link between the chakras and the five massive organs in the five element theory. This idea of linking these two theories was previously studied by different scholars. Two examples would be marked also in the article entitled The Mind-Body Problem in the Chakra Literature. In this table of this study, it is possible to perceive that though uh, even though not aware of traditional Chinese medicine five-element theory, this author still links the chakras with the five massive organs of the five-element theory. Another studies that presented the same idea was the geometry of emotions using chakra acupuncture and five-phase theory to describe personality archetypes for clinical use from Christopher Chase. In this study, the author used the five-phase or five-element theory to create personality archetypes for clinical use, based on the idea of correspondence between the five elements and the chakras. Therefore, when using the radiesthesia procedure to measure the chakra centers, the massive organs of the five-element theory are being directly measured too. In traditional Chinese medicine, the organs that are mostly imbalanced by primary hypertension are kidney, responsible for the production of yin-yang energy, and liver. Kidney and liver. However, the energies are interconnected by the other organs and meridians that are also working in conjunction. An imbalanced organ will imbalance the other in the future. That is why the chakras measurement is always done in all the chakras, as well as the treatment with the crystal-based medication and homeopathy. This idea is way different to what is usually done in Western medicine, that is to consider the organs as independent, not believing that one will influence the other. The chosen medication to treat the energy deficiency of the patients were high diluted medications such as homeopathy and uh, crystal-based medication. According to the Arndt-Schultz law, when you use high diluted medication, you will increase the vital energy of the patient. Contrary, when you use high concentrated medication, you will reduce more the vital energy. That we don't want this result. This answer can be found in the energy imbalances. As I said in my previous presentation about myocardial infarction and the coronavirus presentation, our body as well as the world and the universe around us is formed by energy. And according to traditional Chinese medicine, inside our bodies we have specific patterns of energy flow responsible for our emotional and physical health. As said before, the primary hypertension is linked to liver and kidney energy. These energy are majorly influenced by emotion and diet. The emotion that imbalances the liver is anger, and the emotion that imbalances the kidney is fear. The diet that influence the liver are frying eggs, chocolate, honey, coconut, cold water, and dairy products, especially when the cheese is melted, and alcoholic beverages. And the diet that influence the health of the kidney is ingestion of soda, coffee, and matcha tea, as well as the poor ingestion of the water. Despite these two energy imbalances, the meridian of spleen also have to be emphasized. The spleen meridian is responsible for the absorption of nutrients, as well as nutrition of all cells in the body. If this meridian is imbalanced, all organs and cells will suffer influence from it. When imbalanced, the body will respond with liquid retention that are also linked to primary hypertension, and the emotion that imbalance this meridian is excessive worry. The diet that imbalances this spleen is constant ingestion of cold water, very common in Western culture, dairy products, raw food, and sweets. This data is important because a diet orientation for a patient with hypertension usually focuses in the reduction of the consumption of salt, while other foods can balance the energy meridian of the body, leading to high blood pressure. And the conclusion of this study is that primary hypertension can have a cause in the energy level not visible by the naked eye. To comprehend these mechanisms, it is necessary to analyze and understand other medical ancient traditions not considered in current studies. And when comprehending the causative mechanisms of energy imbalances, it is possible to see an underlying cause to primary hypertension and propose innovative treatment. The association of traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine using chakra center measurement and therapy with the replacement of the energy with high diluted medication is essential to treat the energy imbalances of patients presenting high blood pressure in primary hypertension. The subject of this presentation was compiled in a study and published in the ARC Journal of Nephrology under the title Energy Alterations as the Underlying Cause of Primary Hypertension. As stated by Hippocrates, it is more important to know what sort of a person has a disease than to know what sort of disease a person has. Thank you for listening. If you have any doubts or thoughts on this presentation or other studies of mine, do not hesitate in contact me by email that is in this slide, and I will be happy to answer your question. Thank you. Não estou ouvindo ele. Kumar, I'm not listening you.
Yeah, can you hear
Okay.
me now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot for this wonderful session, Dr. Huang. Yeah, there is a question in from audience. Okay.
Okay.
The question is like, madam, kindly clarify me that the stress is also a responsible factor for hypertension in young people. If so, how stress is directly cause of it?
Yes, stress. When I presented the study about coronavirus infection, I presented a study in my clinic studying the measurement of chakra of 1,000 patients. And in this patient, all 90% of these patients had energy deficiency in their chakras, including child, young adults, and in the elderly, all the people have energy deficiency in all these chakras, and this energy deficiency can explain the the stress. The stress is the energy deficiency in these chakras, and this
Okay.
can lead to many kinds of disease, including hypertension. But this energy deficiency can lead to diabetes, myocardial infarction. You see, many young adults are having so many problems that only elderly people in the past have, and now the young people are having what elderly people have in the past, like myocardial infarction, cancer, and all these chronic disease are usually are all related to the energy deficiency of the chakras energy. And this deficiency is related, in my opinion, in the opinion of other doctors, to the cell phone and computer use and the 5G in our environment that is making our energy lower and lower. And we are becoming more, it is harming our energy and leading to disease in the human. Okay?
Yes, understand. So, yeah, coming to this particular session, which is actually focused on hypertension, the stress and hypertension are the two major roles which actually plays a very high role in our life, because so many people, those who cannot get over this stress and hypertension, are ending their lives with suicide. So stress and hypertension are one of the most reasons for committing suicide, especially in youngsters, because stress is very common and hypertension is very common for many people, but people have to overcome it. Because of that, people are ending their lives. Actually, like Dr. Huang, in India, there is a recent thing happened. One of the famous celebrity who is into the film industry had committed his suicide with this
Yeah.
stress only. Yes, it is in recent times. It's been a very shockful thing for many of us.
Yes, this is related to the lack of energy of the chakras too, because these this actor that you said probably was very weak in the energy, and this leads to this kind of situation. I have patient that has um, was going to commit suicide, and I measured the energy, and the energy was lower, very in the lowest level too. And when you treat this kind of patient that committing suicide, and treating their energy and making the energy more uh, the chakras energy in the better level, in the normal level, the patient will be stronger and will not do it again. Okay, that's the energy of this patient was very weak. And all the population in the world, I think, is weak. That's why we are here to tell them that there is a treatment, but the treatment needs to be in the energy level that is not you cannot see by naked eye. The laboratory exams usually are normal, and if the laboratory exams are normal, it's not mean that you are healthy. The energy alterations in the phase 1 and 3 in that chart that I showed you in the presentation, there are signs and symptoms of the disease, but all the laboratory exams are normal. And the laboratory exams normal, that doesn't mean that you are healthy. You need to treat the energy. Okay.
Yeah, there is one more question from participants. It's like, what shall be the diet of a diabetic patient in order to avoid hypertension?
What's the diet for diabetes patient?
Yeah, to avoid hypertension.
And who have hypertension? Okay.
To,
There's what?
to avoid hypertension.
Ah, as I told you, as I show you in the slides, we need to have a diet to balance the internal energy. And when you eat the many drink coffee, drink matcha tea or soda, you are imbalance the kidney energy, and you should avoid this kind of food when you have hypertension or diabetes too. And to avoid the imbalance of the liver energy, you should avoid fried food, chocolate, honey, coconut, alcoholic beverages, and dairy products, especially when the cheese is melted. And all these alterations will alter the diabetes and the hypertension too, because they all will imbalance the internal energy. And the foods that will imbalance the spleen will imbalance the diabetes and will imbalance the hypertension too. They are the same orientation for both disease, such as you need to avoid the raw food, the ingestion of cold water, and the ingestion of sweets and dairy products, because all these four kinds of food will imbalance the internal energy of the spleen and will increase the retention of liquid in your body, and the retention of liquid will increase the hypertension. And in the case of the diabetes, it will reduce the absorption of nutrients, and that is why the nutrition of all organs, internal organs, and all the cells will be reduced when the absorption of the nutrients is reduced. And that is why in diabetic patient you need to orientate the patient to eat and to drink lukewarm water, not cold water, and to eat not raw food but boiled and grilled food to reduce this spleen, pancreas, meridian deficiency. And only doing this measurement in the diet, you can notice that the patient will reduce the diabetic, the hyperglycemia. If you can do this try to orientate your patient to not drink cold water and drink only lukewarm water, and you see the result in the glycemia. It will reduce, and later you can tell me and write me an email to say if it works or not. Okay?
Yeah. So there is one more question. What can be a natural way to treat blood pressure which can be due to hypertension?
What could be the natural? I can understand.
Yeah, what could be the natural way to treat blood pressure which can be due to hypertension?
Yes, normally the patient doesn't go to my clinic to treat the hypertension itself, but he usually have a lot of disease at the same time. And the treatment that I usually do in my clinic is to rebalance the internal energy that is in the root level of that tree. And if you balance that internal energy that is in yang, qi, and blood, according to traditional Chinese medicine, when you balance this for energy, all the disease and symptoms of the patient will improve at the same time. And you don't need to know which disease the patient has, because all disease will improve at the same time, even if you don't know that the patient has the disease. Like in the first case that I show you, that was the cornerstone of my all my research, is that the patient that I treat for leg pain, and then he improves the intraocular pressure that I was not aware he had glaucoma, and the treatment I did for the leg pain improves his intraocular pressure, that he was doing the treatment for 40 years with no improvement, only had the improvement of his intraocular pressure when we treated the energy imbalances. And that is why it is important to treat the root of the problem and not just the symptom. Because if you treat the symptoms, you give the medication for treating symptom, but will imbalance the root and it will not be good for the patient.
Yeah. So those were the questions from the attendees. And personally, I again advise all the attendees to actually concentrate on the energy alterations and also have a good opinion on this chakras treatment, because many of non-curable and many of useful things have been done with this chakras treatment. And I actually thanks a lot, thank a lot to Dr. Huang Wei Ling for taking up such a wonderful talk every Saturday. And we are very happy to know many new things, that how the natural things can treat many of disorders or disabilities that humankind is facing these days. And yeah, I guess there are no more questions. And if you have no other point to be discussed, I'll just end the session.
Thank you, Kumar, for the opportunity to be here and to be with the Indian medical students and doctors. And I like very much to be uh, to be here. And thank you very much. Okay.
Thanks a lot. I again like to extend my warm greetings to Dr. Huang Wei Ling for taking the wonderful session. And I thank all the audience and attendees who have been attending the session all the way from your time. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
I'm ending the session.
Okay. Bye bye. Thank
Bye.
you.